I'm Thomas Smith. I'm a technology journalist and the CEO of Gatto Images, and I also have worked in AI for over a decade. And this is Tom Talks Tech, a new podcast where I'll share perspectives on everything in technology and the technology world, from cooking to crypto. Join me here as I explore the world of technology on Tom Talks Tech. I'm Tom, and today we're talking about YouTube. Specifically, we're talking about how I have created a channel as what I like to call myself, a small-time YouTube creator, and how that's gone, and how I've grown that to be a low five-figure income per year off of YouTube. So I think when people think about YouTube, they often think of these really exceptional channels, the ones you read about in the news, like there's a 9-year-old named Ryan who makes $26 million a year on YouTube. So those are pretty incredible and inspirational, but at the same time, most YouTube channels aren't like that. And in fact, most YouTube channels actually fall into the category that I'm in, which is you can make significant money on the platform, but not necessarily be well known, not be YouTube famous, not be a personality that people would recognize on the streets. I think that's a good thing. YouTube is a huge platform. The statistics about it are really staggering. I mean, it gets, I think, 500 hours of video uploaded per minute. It gets billions of views, and the majority of people in the United States, even those in the 70 and up category, watch YouTube every month. Most people that are in the younger age range, over 80%, watch YouTube. The average person who comes to YouTube spends about 40 minutes there each time that they come to YouTube. So when the average view on a website is around 2 to 3 minutes, if you're lucky, I don't know, in my experience, it's even usually a little bit lower than that. YouTube bringing in 40 minutes of viewing time on each visit is pretty staggering. So the traffic statistics are pretty remarkable. The revenue statistics, over $15 billion a year that YouTube makes from advertising. And that's more than many countries' GDP. So that's just an insane amount of money. And, again, the top creator, Ryan, the 9-year-old, is making $26 million. That's a lot. But when you think about it in the context of the overall revenue of $15 billion, it's really a drop in the bucket. Very tiny, tiny amount. And that's a good thing for creators, because that means that even if you're not Ryan, even if you're someone like me who's doing this as a kind of a small-time creator, you can still make substantial money on the platform. It's not like the music industry where Taylor Swift alone takes 70% of the revenue in some quarters, and the smaller artists really have a lot of trouble succeeding. With YouTube, it's much more evenly distributed among about 30 million creators who are on the platform. So my channel is Do-It-Yourself Home Automation. I get about 1 million views per year, and that amounts to about 1.5 million minutes of watch time, which is one of the things that YouTube looks at in determining how popular a channel is, how much time people spend watching the videos. And again, that's a pretty staggering amount. That's 20 capacity crowds at Yankee Stadium every year sitting down and watching my videos. And with the amount of watch time I have, statistically, somebody is always watching one of my videos. It's over 365 days worth of watch time per year. So someone is always watching one of my videos. For this podcast, I'm using the platform Anchor. It's a great platform for anyone who's interested in creating a podcast of their own. Things I like about it are the fact that it's totally free. And there's also creation tools that allow you to record and edit your own podcast. You can do that either from their app or on your computer in the browser. You can also upload your own audio if you use an external platform. And Anchor will send everything out to Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many, many more external platforms. You can also make money from your podcast if you want to monetize it. So you can download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And that's kind of humbling. But at the same time, I'm ranked about 2 millionth among channels. So there's tons of people out there who are doing much better than me, even though I'm getting over 1 million views per year. So that tells you about the potential on YouTube and the size of the audience and the potential opportunity for creators, which again is just absolutely massive. So my channel, Do-It-Yourself Home Automation, has about 700 videos, a little bit more than 700 videos. Most are between 1 minute and 5 minutes long, and I mostly do product reviews, home automation experiments, consumer tech. I review a lot of different products that companies send me, which I'll get to in a minute, and mostly just focused on that consumer electronics space. And there's a couple of ways that creators on YouTube make money from their channels. The biggest one is that YouTube offers you the ability to put ads on your content. And that's one of the reasons I think that YouTube has grown so substantially, is that they run ads next to videos and they share with the creators who create the videos a portion of that revenue. And that can become a very substantial income stream for creators, and it's also an incentive for people to upload a lot of videos to YouTube because it's a money-making, shared revenue type of opportunity. But to get to the point where you can make revenue from your channel is not necessarily easy. Some platforms you can publish content and right away you're going to be making money from it. YouTube is not like that, at least not with the native advertising. It used to be, when the channel first launched, the advertising kind of sharing, you could basically start to monetize the channel from day one. They realized, though, is that there was too much low-quality content. Creators didn't know how to follow the rules. They were creating content that advertisers didn't like and were afraid to run ads next to. Hateful content, inappropriate content, that kind of thing. Violent content sometimes. So in around 2017, there was an event called the Adpocalypse, at least that's what creators call it, where a lot of advertisers pulled out of the platform because of the content that their ads were being shown next to. And so at that point, YouTube, to bring advertisers back, really tightened the restrictions on who could monetize content. And now you have to have over 1,000 subscribers, and you have to have over 4,000 hours of watch time per year. So that's a pretty substantial hurdle to clear for most creators. You have to have a lot of engagement, a lot of viewership, and a lot of people who want to follow the channel, not just casually come and look at a video. So it took me a while to get to the point of having that 1,000 subscribers, which is often the big hurdle for people to clear, is to get to that point. I got to that point in 2019, was able to monetize my channel. And once you do that, YouTube will run ads next to your videos, and you'll get a portion of the revenue from that on monetized views. So not all views are monetized. That makes it hard to, for example, take a creator's overall viewership and multiply it by some number and figure out how much they're earning. It really can vary very dramatically based on what countries a video becomes popular in, the kind of content that the creator is showing, what people are paying for ads. But in general, it's somewhere between $2 and about $15 per 1,000 views on YouTube for a creator. So content that's shown in non-US countries, that's shown to lower value demographics, or just that doesn't attract as much advertiser interest, could be on the lower end, around $2 per 1,000 views. If it's really high quality content, mostly targeting a lucrative demographic in the US, you can be up around $13 to $15. My content on monetized views is somewhere usually between about $8 and $13 per 1,000. So it's relatively valuable content, mostly because I'm talking about tech, I'm talking about consumer content and consumer electronics, and those are areas where there's a lot of advertising interest. And really you are beholden, though, to the advertising market. So in 2020, revenue was down a lot just because there wasn't as much advertising happening. Everybody was kind of sitting on the sidelines with everything going on in the world. 2021 so far is shaped up to be a lot better. So that's a way that creators can earn directly from their channels. Another way that it happens is through sponsorships. So sometimes if you develop a large enough following, particularly if you're covering consumer products, if you yourself are a prominent personality on your channel, then you'll have brands approach you about sponsored content. And first I'll say there's two ways that this can happen. One of them is that brands will just approach you and want to send you a product for you to try out. And there's no guarantee that you'll cover it, and there's no guarantee that you'll like it. They just will basically send you an item for you to check out. And that happens all the time. So the kind of cliche or stereotype about YouTube creators that brands are just constantly sending them stuff, at least in my case, is true. I have brands that'll send me everything from phone gyroscope stabilizers and drones to cases to air purifiers, all kinds of different items in the hopes that I'll review their products. And it makes sense for them to do that because the cost of the product is relatively low. Sometimes the creator will return the product if it's a very high value one. It's a way for me to create content. It's a way for them to get publicity. They're not guaranteeing that it's going to be positive necessarily, but generally, I try to focus on the positive elements of a product, and if I don't like it, I just won't cover it. So brands definitely reach out and send you things a lot if you're a YouTube creator, even where I am, which is about 3,500 subscribers on my channel. You do start to get a bunch of stuff. The other way that brands work with creators is that they actually pay creators to create a certain number of videos or branded content with their products in there. And when they do that, that can be up to about $20 per 1,000 views that creators end up getting from that content. And again, it depends on whether you're very prominent, how many subscribers you have, if you're an existing celebrity or personality off the platform, a lot of different factors. But influencer marketing, as that's called, is a big thing. It's growing, and YouTube actually encourages it. They purchased a marketplace for influencer marketing called FameBit, and they're integrating it into the platform. It's invite only for creators. I've not been invited, but hopefully I will be at some point. And then brands can reach out and pay you to create sponsored content. When you do that, you actually have to disclose that you've done that. You also have to disclose if you received a free product, as I often do, to review it. Most creators follow it. Many creators, though, don't. I always disclose things. It's actually an SEC rule. It's a federal rule in the United States about truth in advertising. So it's very important if you're a creator to acknowledge any situation where you received a free product, and particularly any situation where you've been paid to create the content. But the interesting thing I found, I would think that viewers would not like sponsored content, but actually they don't tend to care. Most of the time they realize that creators won't take on a sponsorship if they don't believe in the product. And sometimes sponsored content can be better than non-sponsored content because you have the resources behind you to create something really good. You often have better access to the product. Maybe it's a new product. Maybe there's promotions you're given to offer alongside it. And it's actually to the point where some creators will make fake sponsored content so that it looks like their channel is more legitimate and has attracted sponsorships when they actually haven't. So it's definitely not something that drives viewers away. If anything, it's something that is so attractive to some viewers that that some YouTubers will actually fake it in order to bring in that viewership. But that's another source of revenue for creators once you reach a certain scale. Another source of revenue is cross-posting content on other channels. When you create content on YouTube, you're not selling it to YouTube, you still own the rights to it. And so many creators will post their same videos on multiple platforms. And I do that. I put mine on Facebook Watch, which is Facebook's video platform, and I put it on Amazon Influencers, which is a invite-only video program that shows my videos on product pages on Amazon. And that's a great way to make secondary use of the content and have it out there on a broader set of platforms. Again, all told, this brings in about, I won't say the exact figures, but a low 5-figure income for my channel. And I think that's great because I am a small-time creator. I calculated that I make about $53 per hour when I create content, but I'm not doing it 8 hours a day. It's something I do alongside the other work that I do in product reviews and photography and that kind of thing. And it's a great way to have this extra, kind of side thing and ties into my other content creation activities. And that's the great thing with YouTube. Because it is so massive, I can do it at a small scale and still make a substantial amount of revenue from it. I feel that I'm well compensated for the time I spend creating the videos. And that wouldn't be true necessarily on a lot of platforms because they just don't have that reach, they don't have the advertiser relationships. And I think that yields really good content on YouTube because if you create enough and you really, create content that's valuable for users, even if you're not, the equivalent of Taylor Swift or Ryan, the millionaire 9-year-old, you can still create content that will be valuable, that will bring in revenue, and you can still grow your channel to the point where you're reaching millions of people per year. So if you've ever been curious about YouTube, check out my articles. This one was in Debugger on Medium. You can go to debugger.medium.com. You can look at all of my articles about YouTube and how to create content, how I build my process for content creation, and follow along, launch your own channel. It's free to do it, and who knows, you might attract a large audience and end up, being the next Ryan. But failing that, you might end up like me with a nice, substantial amount of revenue, but out of something that's fundamentally, a small-time thing. That's definitely a possibility on YouTube. So check it out. At the very least, you'll probably reach some people and learn some things and get your content out to a broader audience. So follow along, debugger.medium.com. If you found this helpful or enjoyable, please subscribe to my podcast wherever you're listening to your podcasts. Just hit subscribe, follow along here. And you can also follow me and ask any questions that you have on Twitter. I'm at TomSmith585.